Thank you, Jane. Obviously, Licensing Subcommittee decision Monday, the 5th September 2022, in the matter of the Licensing Act 2003 application for a premises licence, barcode 50 Osborne Road, Southsea, PO53LT. Obviously, all parties shall receive written confirmation of the decision and reasons. The decision, the subcommittee has considered very carefully the application for a premises licence at barcode. It gave due regard to the Licensing Act 2003, the licensing objective, statutory guidance and the adopted statement of licensing policy. The subcommittee considered the relevant representations both written and given at the hearing by all parties. Human rights legislation and the public sector equality duty has been borne in mind whilst making the decision. The subcommittee noted that there have been a representation from a responsible authority, namely Environmental Health, and 3 residents objecting to the grant of a licence due to concerns about the prevention of public nuisance licensing objective and the prevention of crime and disorder objective. The applicant had amended the application in light of the representations, reducing the hours sought and agreeing conditions proposed by Environmental Health. After having heard all of the above evidence, the subcommittee decided to grant the proposed application subject to imposing the agreed conditions and noting the amended application and amended hours as follows. The sale of alcohol shall cease at 2200 hours on Sunday to Thursday, with premises closing at 22:30. The sale of alcohol shall cease on Friday and Saturday at 2300 hours, with the premises closing at 23:30. The opening hours for the premises should have a terminal hour of 0100 hours for New Year's Eve, with the sale of alcohol ceasing at, 12:30 at night. The proposed hours for Christmas Eve ceasing at midnight for the sale of alcohol and the premises to close half an hour later. The late night refreshments is no longer required, as this shall cease by 1100 hours in the evening, 2300 hours, sorry, should I say. The live music is also removed from the application. Conditions as agreed with and submitted by Environmental Health during the meeting relating to use of receptacles outside the premises, closing of external doors and windows after 2300 hours, noting that the rear doors shall remain closed at all times, licensable activities are taking place, save for the emergency escape, external lighting deliveries and collections, requirement for provision and approval of a noise management plan, and for those measures to be duly implemented. The reasons for this. Environmental Health expressed concerns regarding the grant of a premises licence where residents' property are structurally attached. The age and structure of the building were a concern in the absence of a noise management plan or indication of measures to be implemented. It is unclear whether sound installation could even be installed given the premises are not purpose-built. No mention has been made in the application as to how noise, smoking, waste collection, litter or lighting were to be managed. The subcommittee noted that the consultation response from Environmental Health advised that planning permission might be better sought first, but accepted that the application nonetheless had to be determined on its merits and as presented, irrespective of the planning permission. Further, planning issues such as change of use as raised by residents cannot be considered by this subcommittee. Objections from residents focused upon the existing nature of the area given the number of licensed premises. Subcommittee accepted advice that commercial need could not be considered. Existing premises, it was stated, already caused the issues of noise from those in drink, include shouting, swearing, associated antisocial behaviour such as vomiting and urinating. Rear doors at the premises present an apparent risk of noise nuisance from sound escape from live or recorded music. Before the meeting had begun, the applicant had confirmed an amendment to the application, namely a reduction in hours to those originally applied for, and an agreement had been reached with Environmental Health in relation to conditions. In light of this, the resident that had attended and living to the rear was satisfied that the application was now acceptable, but feared potential change in the future operation of the premises. The applicant outlined their intention to run a relaxed venue, which will be food-led. It is not in the intention that it will be a loud late-night bar. The subcommittee noted that there is a right for all parties to bring the licence back for review if there are any issues undermining the licensing objectives resulting from the licensable activity at the premises. If nuisance persists, residents are encouraged to liaise with Environmental Health and report the matter promptly. In this respect, residents can be reassured that if the premises changes hands or changes the nature of operation, or indeed fails to implement the steps indicated, this leads to public nuisance. The matter can be brought back to the licensing authority for action to be taken. The subcommittee balanced all of the above issues and determined that in light of the agreement reached between the parties present, noting and fully considering the written representations from those residents not in attendance, accordingly it was considered appropriate to grant the licence with the timings as set out to balance the interests of residents with those of the business. There is a right of appeal for all parties of the Magistrate Court. Formal notification of the decision will be set out that right in full. Thank you for attending today, and thank you for being very reasonable as well.